Humongous what?
Humongous what? Is that sexual harassment? Is that what you...
That's not how you open a can of pickles. You have to pop it, ladies and gentlemen. You have to pop it.
Hillary Clinton. I will be voting for Hillary Clinton.
We need to build a wall.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Middle Minded, the only place that you need to go to get a clear and accurate representation of not the left and not the right, but the middle for all the recent issues. And today we have a very, very topical and recent issue. As always, I'm Christian.
And I'm Alex.
We want to thank you so much for listening to us on YouTube. We're on Stitcher, Podbean, SoundCloud, Google Play, and now we're on iTunes. And all of those, if you could go to the respective platform that you're listening to us on, and leave a subscription or a like, a review, all of those help us grow the show. And we very, very much appreciative of all the things that you do.
Yeah, please comment and give us, a rating and everything and helpful criticism, because we would like to improve our podcast.
We're both not going to school for this, so this is clearly just sort of off the cuff,
Yeah, this is just us trying to do something fun. Hopefully you guys like it. We want it to be good, but we don't really, we don't
know what good is, I guess.
Yeah, so we need you guys to just tell us how you think we're doing. So
Happy 420. That's what we're sort of talking about. We're recording this on 420, which is sort of the idea of where we got to talk about this now.
Yeah.
But the issue that we're talking about, which you've probably gotten sort of known about from the title, is the legalization of marijuana. This episode, we're not actually talking about a particular article.
Yeah, we don't have any, we don't have an article or video or anything that we're going through. We're really just kind of talking about the general topic itself. We decided we'd try something new, see how it works. So we'll have our opinions. You'll have yours. Hopefully we can communicate.
Meet in the middle.
Meet in the middle.
There we go. So because we're not following a specific script, meaning a article, this could be a little bit choppy, and you might hear that in the audio, things that we cut out. Maybe we'll be able to do this all the way through. We're going to try definitely to do this all the way through, but in the event, we hope that this is still an entertaining podcast. As Alex said, please also leave your sort of comments in the comment section to join in the conversation and what you sort of think. I think we both should sort of start off talking about where we're coming from. We discussed earlier that sort of like the conservative side of this is to not legalize marijuana. I would say most conservatives are like,
Well, yeah, just kind of the general, I guess. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of conservatives who are totally fine with it, whatever. So not to stereotype or anything, but I would say conservative is probably leaning more towards the ban of it than the right than the left would be. The left will mean anything could go, but the left is probably a little more pro, and the right is probably a little more towards banning it. But not really too extreme either way, I would say. Isn't that right?
Yeah. Well, we do have debate.org, which is where we actually get a lot of our ideas from. We'll have that link down if you want to read some of them, because I will be sort of talking about some of these people's points in their debates. But to sort of get where we're both coming from, my experience with marijuana is pretty recent. Of course, when we're in college, and so it's around, substantial amount from high school, I would say, at least in my opinion. But my grandmother has MS, and so she actually just got approved to get medicinal marijuana. And so the reason why I'm sort of leaning in one direction is because she's getting the help that she needs, that these weird and there's basically experimental drugs that are way more expensive that may not even work. But she's very excited to try medicinal marijuana because a lot of people in the MS community have said that they've gotten a lot better from it,
Well, do you know how it works? The science behind it, why marijuana is used? Because I don't know. I heard that, in some cases, it's just to make the patient feel happy.
It's like a relaxer.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, I don't have any physical experience, but like,
does it do anything? Do you know if it does anything that actually will, like, help you physically get better, or
No.
is it just it's just relaxing?
oh yeah. So like my grandmother right now, she with her MS, she basically is just in pain all of the time, and so all the medical stuff she gets is just to relieve pain. Now she does like acupuncture, she's done like yoga and stuff, and some of that stuff has helped because basically MS, like I've seen her not been able to move, like she's just slowly slowing down. Medicinal marijuana is sort of to relieve the pain so that she can function normally.
Okay.
So I guess where are you coming from? That's sort of where I'm coming from.
Me, I don't really have that much to, if any, experience with marijuana. I've never smoked it or ingested it in any way, shape, or form to get a high off it. I don't know anyone who at least has openly admitted in my family that has done it.
What about overseas? I mean, did you encounter that in like any of the
I've encountered people who've done it, but I guess I haven't really ever known anyone very well that does it.
But you have you seen it, I guess, like in those foreign countries?
I've physically seen it, yeah.
I've actually never even seen it, like other than pictures.
I've seen it. I've been around people who are smoking it, but I never did it myself, and I distanced myself from it just because of a personal preference. And also I want to be a cop, so of course I'm not going to have anything to do with it.
Yeah.
So that's why I did that, but I mean, if someone wants to smoke weed, to each their own.
To each
I
his
guess.
own, yeah. I mean, like, so let's talk about it from sort of different angles. The first angle that I sort of think about is the business aspect. My family is sort of in the business area, so I think of it from a business standpoint. What would the legalization of marijuana do in terms of business? Now, I think that this would create a ton of jobs. I think that there's a huge market for it already. I mean, we've seen with the states that have legalized recreational use, there's tons of profit. And we see that if you could tax that, like if you could put taxes on marijuana sales, but like huge taxes, like we've seen with tobacco use, tobacco, it costs like $5 for a pack of cigarettes. And these people who are hard smokers, they're spending
they're spending a lot of money. Oh, but ethical thing, cigarettes are addicting, according to what I've been...
they are.
Yeah. And so by taxing it, is it, like, ethical to do that, I guess? Because then you're basically taxing people... I mean, although they are freely choosing it, you're basically making it harder for them, or making money off them being addicted to something.
But sort of the idea behind it is that they're taxing it so much to deter people from spending their hard-earned money on it, therefore negating the use of it.
But if you're addicted, I don't think that would really work. That would just make it harder for you and make life harder.
But then you'll wean yourself off. I mean, like addiction, like you can get off of addiction. Like it's not set with you for your whole life. But like if you physically cannot buy it, you don't have that money to spend.
Well, won't they just result to like stealing it, I guess?
I mean, like how many cases have we heard yet of people stealing cigarettes? I don't think that there's a whole lot.
Well, I guess that's probably because, the price is still within somewhat of a reasonable area. Mm-hmm. But
I get your point from it.
But like for another thing, like heroin.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I've heard of some cases where people have stolen it.
Okay, but I think the difference is that cigarettes, when they first were put out, we didn't know that they were bad. And so the problem is, and we saw this with alcohol during the Prohibition, is that once you legalize something, it's very hard to get it unlegalized. So they legalized cigarettes. So it's very hard to say, okay, those are illegal now. You can't really do that. Because we saw with Prohibition, drinking was legal.
Well, I'm not talking about the legalization of it. I'm talking about taxing it.
Okay, but what I'm saying is sort of like, but taxing it is sort of the same thing as, like, everything has to have taxes.
Well, yeah, but taxing it so much in order to stop people from doing it or to make money off it. I think I guess the point I was making was that taxing it to stop people from doing it, I don't think would work. But also the ethicality, is it okay for a government to tax something that just makes you feel good and also kills you and is addicting?
In cigarettes.
In cigarettes. Is that ethical? Like, is it okay to tax them so much? Because you're basically making money off of people. Although they are freely choosing to do it,
Yeah.
you're basically making money off people who are addicted to a substance that hurts them.
I think marijuana is different, though, is that, well,
Yeah.
is it different? Because I think also is because cigarettes have been out for a long time, whereas marijuana on this scale has not been around for that long. You know, like, I mean, like, it's been around for a while, but on this scale as to where everybody's smoking it at a ton of different ages, we haven't really had enough time to sort of see the medical backdraws of it, you know, like cancers and stuff like that. Now, my personal opinion is that putting anything into your lungs other than oxygen or other than like air is bad for you. You know, whether it be like vapor, water vapor, marijuana smoke, cigarette smoke, putting anything other than what's intended into your lungs is not going to be good for you, of course. But they do have edibles. Like my grandmother, she won't actually smoke marijuana. She'll actually have like, technically it's like pills that she takes.
Doesn't she like put them in brownies or something?
Yeah, she can do that too. But I mean, they come in like, it's like a pill. So there's other ways to take it. But so I think that because we don't have enough research is my only reason. But back to my sort of point is that the business standpoint, it seems like a no-brainer. You have a product that everybody wants to buy. The country is in a huge amount of debt. If we were to sell this product and then tax it, we would basically cut our national debt by a huge percentage. I would even go as far as to say that if the government were to say, okay, we'll legalize marijuana, but here's the thing. The government is in control of the sale of it, okay? You're buying it from the government, which means that there's no, like, I cannot go out and grow my own marijuana. I personally think that as a marijuana community, you sort of should pick your battles and be like, okay, do we want to smoke marijuana or do we want to be able to own my own marijuana business? You know, what is more important? And I think that if the government were to sort of take control, is like we realize that this is sort of a new thing or a dangerous thing, possibly dangerous. We're willing to work with you to make a deal, I guess. Because right now, it just sort of feels like everybody's just like either legalize it or don't legalize it. And what I'm sort of saying is like, let's make a deal, I guess. Because, I mean, last thing, I guess my sort of deal, I think that by medicinally allowing it, you're moving the bar, you know? Like, how can you medicinally allow it but not recreational allow it? Like, you know, you're just sort of making yourself more problems by doing that, because now you're going to have people stealing it. Now you're going to have fraud. There's definitely people that literally just go in, say, I need marijuana. I need medicinal marijuana. They get prescribed by a doctor, and then boom.
Well, is that necessarily a bad thing?
Yes, I think it's a bad thing.
Why?
Because they're abusing the system.
But I mean,
like if we look at, like, to tie in something that we're learning right now, if we talk in Kant's, you know, the categorical imperative, you can't universalize that. Like everybody breaks, you know, abuses the system to get drugs that they want.
Well, I wouldn't say it's totally an abuse of the system. I mean, even though it is, I would say also according to Kant's categorical imperative that it goes along with the universal law, because breaking it in the way that you said, everyone is still having to get prescribed and paying paying for the marijuana. Therefore,
well, the paying is sort of offset, because I mean, if it's getting covered by their insurance.
Well, true, but they're paying for insurance.
Yeah.
And,
so
and
I mean, like,
marijuana is the cheaper alternative.
Yeah.
So although it may be more expensive in hospitals, I mean, I don't think it'll be that expensive.
No.
I would say that the medical marijuana aspect, I think it's fine. I do think it's different in the sense that it is in a controlled environment, should the system not be abused, and even if it does get abused, it still won't really affect that. Not as many people are going to get it, because people who really do want marijuana probably just going to go buy it on the streets because that's going to be easier than trying to get it through the
system
prescribed way. It's really only if you really want it legally, technically, for some reason. So yeah, I don't have any problems with medical marijuana.
I just think that it's sort of weird for them to sort of like pick and choose, you know? Like, okay, you can have it in this scenario, but any other case, we're going to put you in jail for it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it is. I get what you're saying. But I would say the reason it's being put in jail right now is because it's a law, and the reason there's an exception to the law is because it goes through a process and the person actually theoretically needs it.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure, although it's illegal for someone who's 10 to drink beer, if his or her life depended on it in some weird scenario, it would be okay to give them beer.
Well, speaking of beer, do you think that if they were to legalize it, it should be sort of the similar rules to alcohol?
From the brief research I did do on it, the effects of marijuana seem to be somewhat similar to alcohol, at least in the sense that it impairs, judgment, movement, your thinking abilities, even your memory, apparently your senses too. I would say definitely it should not be, it should be, I'm okay with it legalized, but it should be treated like alcohol, potentially maybe even a little stricter than alcohol.
Stricter. Okay.
I definitely, maybe. I don't know the extent of the result of the effects, but depending on the extent, potentially even stricter than alcohol, in the sense that no one should be driving with this, no one should be caring for children while under, I guess, again, depending on the extent of the effects, no one should be caring for children directly while under the influence of it.
Okay, but then back to the medicinal use. Like, what if they have to medicinally?
Well, I mean, I'm not saying you can't be a parent.
Yeah.
If you're smoking weed. I'm just saying if you're directly in contact with the child, it's like you shouldn't be drunk when you're with your child, right?
Yeah.
You can still drink, but you shouldn't be drunk.
But are you saying you shouldn't be high when you're with your child?
You shouldn't be high, I guess, beyond something equivalent to the blood alcohol level for alcohol.
Okay.
Something equivalent to that. So to the point to where you're legally defined as intoxicated. The equivalent of marijuana, I don't know how that would be measured, but the equivalent, I guess that's what I'm saying.
I think that's the other sort of issue with this, is that there is no sort of way to test how high are you. There really isn't a way, is there? Yeah, I mean, Google it real quick for us, but I don't really think that there's a way to specifically tell how high someone is. Because, with alcohol, we have a breathalyzer, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they do, street tests when you're on the street, walk the line and stuff.
Yeah, that'll help.
But in the vehicle, you can't really tell if someone's driving high. How are you supposed to tell if someone's driving high?
I was on a ride-along, actually, with a cop. And we found this car, and the person kept on pulling over the solid yellow line. And so we pulled the person over because we thought it was drunk driving. Went through the tests and everything, did not do a breathalyzer. And the officer told me that for some reason he was sure it was not alcohol, but that she was definitely impaired. It was obvious that she was impaired. And I think it was because she did the line correctly, maybe, walking in the line, but she failed the eye test. So there's ways to tell if someone is high, or at least impaired. So we could do that, but I don't think there's, to my knowledge, a way that you could actually measure, I guess, the blood alcohol content equivalent.
Yeah.
But there is a way to see if someone's high, or at least impaired, which would mean it's enforceable.
Yeah. I mean, in my opinion, I guess sort of in conclusion, we're sort of running out of time. My big issues with legalization of marijuana is that I don't trust in humanity to be able to handle it, meaning that I think that if it were legalized, I think that we would, it's the same with alcohol. I think it's more with alcohol. You know, alcohol is legal. It's in stores. It's accessible for adults. And that is why we see people under the age drinking, okay? With marijuana, you sort of have to know a guy. You know, it's not like the parents are bringing home alcohol. It's not like the parents are bringing home marijuana and then the kids are getting into it that way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's a different means to attain it. I think that we'll see more kids smoking marijuana underage if it was legal, because then they would just have a friend that's 21, buy it legally, and then bring it back. And that's what scares me, is because, and that it's going to happen either way, but I think we're just going to see it on a bigger scale if it was legalized. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. In my personal opinion, I'm still kind of on the fence about it. I think it should be, if alcohol is legalized, weed has just as much of a reason to be legalized, because I don't think...
If not more, because, I mean, alcoholism and...
Yeah, if not more, because alcohol and weed really aren't, as far as the measure of negative effects, they're really not too different. But with that being said, alcohol has already caused a lot of negative effects in society. Do we want to add something like weed, which potentially could just add a whole nother set of negative effects? Now, I don't think it would double, because weed and alcohol, a lot of the negative things are pretty much the same. And
Well, weed's already been around, and so I guess for that point, you sort of have to see what is the negative effects already that we've seen with weed. We've seen an increase in the amount of people incarcerated. But other than that, you sort of have to look person to person, and we don't really have a whole lot of overall effects. Like, I don't really hear a whole lot of cases or in the news of someone dying because someone was driving under the influence of marijuana. You hear that about alcohol. So there's a lot, I guess in summarization, is that I personally think that it should be legalized with an asterisk next to it. I don't think that we know enough about it to make a good decision now. But I do think that there needs to be something done, because we're throwing people in jail for petty, like marijuana stuff.
I agree with that. We don't need to be throwing people in jail for such petty stuff.
Exactly. We're filling up that. We're spending our money on that when there's like actual criminals and stuff that should be dealt with. Do you have anything more?
Overall, I'm still kind of on the fence on whether it should be legalized or not. I'm leaning more towards it should be legalized. But I'm not really too strongly opinionated towards one scenario.
All right. Well, with that being said, we are getting a little long, so we'll cut it short here. Thank you guys so much for listening to us. Again, this is not just a conversation between Alex and I. If you guys could please go down to the comments if you're watching on YouTube, or if you follow us on Facebook or Twitter, tweet at us or post anything that you have to say. One of us will try to get back to you and sort of carry on the conversation down below.
Slap the like button.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hear people say that, I think.
On every single platform, if you could please leave a rating or a review on iTunes, it would be really great. That just boosts us up, and that makes more people listen, and that always makes us very happy. So thank you so much, and we'll see you next Friday.
Have a good one.